Hi everyone, Ethan Fastano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Trippie Red project, A Love Letter to You 5. Yep, this is a new one from singer, rapper, and songwriter Trippie Red, a prolific and versatile artist who hails from Ohio and is switching up his style once again, as he did recently on his Mansion Music album, where he tried his hand at a lot of this new rage trap stuff that's all the rage thanks to artists like Playboi Carti and the many copycats coming out via his Opium record label. It's the new wave, and of course you're going to find other artists jumping on it, especially when they're like Trippie Red and they tend to be sort of plugged into and sensitive toward, you know, whatever prevailing hot new sounds are. Because since Trippie Red broke in the late 2010s, he's pretty much done a little bit of everything, from emo trap to cloud rap to a bit of alternative R&B, even doing some pop punk too. Now with that being said, he doesn't always do all this stuff well, but he does do it. I guess just his ability to execute as a vocalist and as a songwriter doesn't always reach as far as his ambitions. And he is putting himself to the test once again on this new one, which is obviously the 5th installment of this mixtape series. But this is far and away proving to be Trippie Red's softest, smoothest, most lovesick record yet, really living up to the title more than 1, 2, 3, or 4. The instrumentals on this thing are consistently atmospheric, they're twinkly, loaded with clean guitars and keys, laid-back grooves, big R&B vibes coming off this one too. The features also make Trippie Red's stylistic intentions pretty clear, inviting on Roddy Ricch and Bryson Tiller, Sky Morales, The Kid Laroi, Corbin too. This one's definitely more on the in-your-feels side of the spectrum. For one moment, Trippie even tries to take things in a sensual but also tropical direction with Jamaican artist Tommy Lee Sparta. But yeah, the instrumentals on this thing, like I said, are generally smooth, even on occasion pillowy, like in the case of the enveloping reverb-soaked choruses on Last Days. Some of the acoustic guitar loops and samples on this thing are genuinely lovely too, like with Thy Motion, which might be my favorite beat here. Now, is this tape bringing the prettiest production I've heard all year? Anything along those lines? Not really. I think these beats are a little too bland and textureless to be that. While the keys and other instrumentation on this thing are pretty well assembled, they're not bringing the most personality aesthetically. The flavor of this record is kind of hitting like store brand soda, or like the standard 8 crayons that you get in, your regular box of Crayola. Not to mention the formulae these beats operate off of gets pretty clear pretty fast. How many guitar loops set to punchy trap perks are we gonna get? Meanwhile, the drumless cuts on this thing feel like they're going absolutely nowhere much of the time, but that's another issue. I will say instrumentally there are a few surprises in the track list here and there, like with the raw and lo-fi pianos and distant vocals calling out on How You Alive, or the epic synth finish with a soaring lead on Praying for Love. There's also the punchy throwback hip-hop beats and angelic soul chops on the track I'm Mad at Me. But for the most part, this project is kind of one-dimensional. To put it a nicer way, I guess it's consistent. Really, the only odd one out is the closer, which feels like a Playboi Carti and Travis Scott blend that could have been a leftover from Mansion Music. Ultimately though, the problem with this tape is that the basket that it's putting all of its eggs in, the thing it's focusing on, it's not particularly great at it. Because with Trippie vocally, I'll say the passion is certainly there. Still to this day, his expressive and in-your-face, lightly grating singing voice, it does have a bit of bark. It gives him kind of an edge. But this same edge makes him feel kind of out of place when the instrumental palettes are going this soft and emotional. Because the way he calls out over these sad beats like an emo foghorn, it's kind of overkill. Really straining and pushing forward vocally when guys like, I don't know, XXXTentacion or Juice WRLD might have pulled back a bit. Because there's just so many pockets on this thing where the singing feels a little obnoxious. Especially when the auto-tune comes in and makes Trippie's vocals slice through the mix even harder. Like on the track Last Days, or on a Praying for Love. Or like with another chorus on here, you make me feel good. I just get so little out of hearing him repeatedly bleat to the point of straining over these just very stripped back passages of guitar and piano, whether that be on Reality, whether that be on Romantic Fantasy, or a bunch of other tracks here, regardless of whether or not the tune or the choruses are solid. Because some of the inflections on this thing vocally are just hard to take seriously, especially when they come attached to lyrics that are hard to take seriously. I could take you places you desire, which comes off the track Thinking About You. On the same song, Trippie says, what is it? I'm a lion, you're a tiger. Let's make some ligers? Yeah, no, we're not doing that. You know, with past releases, Trippie's bars have never been his strongest suit, but I feel like that's especially apparent when he's waxing poetic on the topic of love or relationships going south, because rarely is anything he says on this album poignant, clever, really hitting me in my feels, or revolutionary. Take his writing on Reality, for example, where he says, tall tales that you say, I enjoy them always. You said you'd be mine, fading out, my head up high. Faded out, your love is mine, fading out to the dark side. Whoa. Take off your things, just charge on the door. Tales of a king and a queen in smoke, which I would say is accurate to the general quality level of writing on this thing. They're not cringe, they're not vomit-inducing, but they are kind of vague. So vague these tracks fail to be memorable in any way whatsoever, be it through the details and the storyline, or the word choices, the framing, because for sure I can commend this project on its consistency, its general vibes, some of the choruses, some of the instrumentals, but overall I came away from this record really disliking or feeling tired of more tracks than I genuinely enjoyed. And for Trippie's, I guess, musical canon, it feels so non-essential. For sure, again, this is his softest project yet, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's playing to his strengths. I'm feeling a strong 4 on this one. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Trippie Red, forever.